Hi, y'all. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey. I also go by Well-Read PhD online. I'm trying to get back on my YouTube game. So if you are watching this, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, all of those things, because I have not been here in a very long time. And I'm really trying to, in 2026, make this more of a regular thing. So today we're going to pick up where we left off in 2025 journal flip through, which I know you're like, Bailey, it's 2026. I am ready to new year, new me. Well, the people have asked for a flip through, and since it is still January, I have nothing in my current Avec to show anyone, so I will be taking you to my 2025 Avec. If you missed it, my last journal flip through video, I think I posted in July of 2025. That is actually where we're picking up because that was the end of my Avec, and we are going to start from the beginning of my second Avec. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with that. All right, so the first things first, I always like to start with a little sticker tour. um, I am always fascinated where people get their stickers. So if you have any great sticker recommendations or sticker artists, please let me know. I am always looking to up my sticker game. This is from a zine that I follow called How I'd Fix Atlanta. It's just a lot of really smart folks in Atlanta talking about, if they were given a magic wand, how they would fix Atlanta. And they gave out some stickers as part of like the zine annual subscription. This one says Mashallah, which is like glory to God in Arabic. And this is the Burj Al Khalifa in Dubai. These are from a company called Little Majlis, I believe is how you'd say it, Majlis. They are a design company out of the Emirates. And I picked these up actually at the Louvre Abu Dhabi when I was there earlier in 2025. This is from some random sticker pack, like book-ish sticker pack I got probably in like 2022 because I like got into maybe I wanted to decorate my Kindle. I don't know. I think I got it on Jeffy B's internet, so I'm very sorry to everyone. And then this is I Heart ABBA, which if you know anything about me, it is that I Heart ABBA. And I got that from the ABBA Museum in Stockholm when I was there in 2025. On the inside cover, I have my friend Cindy. You should follow her Substack. It's Cindy Moore. Cindy is just a badass. She used to have a craft club in Hawaii called Soft and Slow Craft Club. Nowadays, she's shifted to really slow down and she's just doing long form content over on Substack. I will link her below because I think she is brilliant. And it's just like everything she says, you're like, oh my God, I felt that. This is from her craft club when she had it. This is from a random like Target sticker pack I got on sale for like 50 cents. I just love a croissant. This is from the State Fair of Texas, which I think I mentioned in my past like ecosystem video was insanely expensive. It was like 12 bucks for like a sticker sheet, which I thought was insane. This is literally from Ponko Chicken, which is a chain in Atlanta that we order Korean fried chicken from all the time. And I just love that it's a little penguin. This is just a Turkish flag. I had like a Turkish sticker sheet my mom gave me, and I went to Turkey in 2025, so I figured put that there. And then this is also from How I'd Fix Atlanta. I'd really rather be walking right now, and it's like the Olympic torch from when we hosted the Olympics in 1996, because I would say that's Atlanta's biggest problem is that we do not have very walkable infrastructure. Within neighborhoods we do, but it's a very car-centric town. This is Shui Shui, and then this is just a little cat that I got, I think from Loft in Tokyo when I was there in 2025. This is also from Little Majlis. So yeah, I will pop in and just really take you through. I have not looked at this in a while. This is migraine tracking. I get really bad migraines, and so this was me circling those, but I left off. I think I started tracking them. I had like an old Hobonichi week, so I started tracking them there. At one point, I tried to content plan. Obviously, that did not work. These were all just, I used to host trivia like up until very recently. And every time I got an answer that I thought was funny, I would just like save it and then put it in here. I was like, what is this? This was like an answer to like, and it like listed like 4 celebrities have in common, and someone just sort of all died in fires. This is from an AJC article, Around the World in 63 Dishes. I think I talk about it in my previous video, my 2026 ecosystem video. But basically, this was just a way for me to track where I was eating what I had eaten out of the ones on this article. I sort of made it a little challenge for my husband and I. Don't love the spacing, but I do love that little sticker. I don't even know where that came from. But anyways, that's what that was. This is just some random stuff. I don't know where the Pikachu came from. This is my ABBA receipt. There's like cat hair in there. Uh, I might cut that. Who knows? At one point, I was tracking birthdays and then I just drew on that. And so, yeah, I really, people are always like, oh my God, your journals. Okay, no, my journals, look at this. Like, it's just nonsense. You know what? I will keep that cat hair in because that's my truth. I'm sticking to it. This was just a basic tracker for my books read. I track all of my books on Storygraph, so I have more granular data and like rankings and stuff there. And I also reviewed these pretty in depth on my Substack, wellreadphd.substack.com. You should follow it if you don't already. But this is just for me to see at a glance, like, what did I read and how many books did I read? And were they all murder books? Spoiler, yes. But then it's a vicious cycle because I read the murder books and then I'm like, oh, I love this while I'm reading it. And then after I'm like, well, that wasn't that great. And then I do it again. It's like binge eating potato chips where you're like, okay, I know I shouldn't have a whole bag of barbecue Lays, but I will. This was Hangouts. I am out of town a lot, and so I really try to track when the last time I saw or like had a phone call with friends. I kind of fell off in December, but I think that is kind of to be expected in that part of December. And this was me tracking like whenever I went to a yoga class, or went for a swim, apparently. Um, I truly fell off. These are not, November and December are not accurate. I tried to like mark when I was out of town, but again, fell off. Steps. I track every restaurant I went to, and then I fell off. But I started tracking this in Belly, which is an app that lets you like review restaurants. If you would like my Belly link, we can be friends. I take it very seriously and like update it every week. But yeah, I had like a list of one. So then Life is present. This was just, I was not using any of these blank pages. So I was like, might as well. And so I just started putting like my five most recent of things, five most recent books, TV shows, things we did this week, airports visited, Substack posts that I wrote, vegetables that I'd eaten. Like I just really was thinking about just like, how can I document what life is present means if I really am taking the sort of Hobonichi ethos to mind. And for me, it was tracking five most recent of things, which is pretty helpful, actually, I would say. Like Google searches, Jingle All the Way, Abby Jacobson. Hey Siri, when is Super Bowl? Who are Jeremiah and Conrad? Um, this is sort of like my spark list. I can go into this in more detail in a different video, but in planning my week, this is what I kind of like reference to make sure that I'm capturing all of like my chores, and also like my fun stuff, as well as things that happen like once in a blue moon or like once a quarter kind of stuff. So yeah, this was my January through June zine. Mona of Mona Writes It Down had done this, and I thought it was super cute. So, especially because I'm in an event, I think it's helpful to sort of start with a recap because I don't always have the other book with me from the first half of the year. So, this was just a little reference guide. It's like not the sexiest thing, but I like it. So, it just like tells me, and I was going to write in it. You can tell I haven't done that, but January I was in Tokyo. February I was in Paris. This was all the travel. I did a lot of domestic travel, North American travel in March. Then April, I was mostly in Atlanta. I was on a game show. Spoiler alert. It's the second season of the US version of the 1% Club with Joel McHale. So you can spot me on that. And then around the world, this is when we were for 2 months just traveling Europe. But anyways, so that's like a little helpful thing. This was just like I think I got like not a pastry. I think I got like pens or something in it. And I was just like, I'm going to repurpose that. So I did. These were my 2025 resolutions. You can tell I did not do all of them. I will give myself a meal prep Sunday though. The ones I did do were get our cars detailed, which was life changing. It is a luxury for sure, but I had not had my car detailed in like the 7 years I've had it. And also, like it was at the point where we called one of the seats in my car the jump seat because it wouldn't fully close because there was like a pen underneath it that I couldn't get out, and they fixed it and I didn't have to go to a mechanic. I did visit a friend's baby, shout out Catherine. I did deal with my Google Drive storage for the most part. I think it's circling back, but I'm gonna have to trim it again. I did meal prep every Sunday. I did delegate 25 tasks. I guess I investigated LASIK in that I know I want to get it done in India where it's cheaper, and that I'm scared of it because you can apparently like hear your eye burning and smell. Yeah, I don't know about all that. If you've had LASIK, let me know. How is it? Reorganized my trivia bag, did that. Took public transit to work, did that a lot actually. Get a proper tennis shoe fitting. Shout out to the Decatur Fleet Feet, baby. Take a bubble bath once a week at least. Hosted a girls' night. Did a friend's cabin trip. So I did all those things, but some of the things I did not do. Some of them got carried over. It was supposed to be like a Jan through June wrap. So like all the months in here, just sort of high level numbers, I guess, if you will. I clearly did not finish that. I don't know what I was going to put there. I've slept since then. But these were all books, 68 books read, 5 DNFs, 4 5-star reads, 4 5-star reads. This was like travel stuff. So like 19 trip legs, 10 countries, 2 trips in Georgia, and then 2 states. Then 41 yoga classes and 5 hikes. Not 5 hikes. So I may have done the 10 hikes, but like I probably did the equivalent of 10 hikes from all the walking I did, but I not like went on hikes. 49 pre-Europe hangs, an average of 9.8 hangouts per month. Pretty good for me. 15 cries, an average of 2.5 per month. You know what? It's better than the year that I had to do wedding planning. So I'll take it as a win. And then 91 days traveling, which again, this is my spread from Sweden. I guess I'll explain it from left to right. But so we went to the ABBA Museum. This was my pilgrimage. ABBA is my favorite band of all time. I had an ABBA themed bachelorette party. I'm obsessed with them. And so I just made this little tip in, flip out thing. I am so bad at tipping in. If anyone has like a tutorial, drop it. Thank you. But yeah, there's a picture of me at can you see that? There's a picture of me can you see any of this? There's a picture of me at the ABBA Museum, which I'll put on the screen so you can see that. And then I just like went into my Stats FM, which is an incredible, if you have Spotify, it's an incredible app that doesn't use the Spotify algorithm. It actually uses your streams and numbers without like whatever bumps it gives. So plug for that. But my top ABBA songs, one was Waterloo, which was interesting to me. Take a Chance on Me, Super Trooper, Dancing Queen, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme were my top 3. Or top 5. And I was really surprised that like I listened to Chiquitita and Lay All Your Love on Me and Winner Takes It All and Voulez-Vous. Like I listened to I listened to a lot of ABBA. So I was surprised those weren't there. I don't have anything here either, but I just thought it was cute because it said made in Sweden for export. And just like think about like you open a box and it's just ABBA. Fucking wild. So we were in Sweden mostly to see my husband's aunt, who is a nun at a convent outside of Stockholm. And so we actually stayed with her at the convent. So her order of nun, I think it's Benedictine. They help anyone who is like in need of rest. And so it's primarily like an old folks home. A lot of elderly people go and stay there. But yeah, so we stayed with her and it was super beautiful. It was right after Midsummer. So it was just like light all day for 24 hours. And then we had an amazing cardamom bun at Brewed and Salt. Sorry to the Swedish people. But it was dank. I loved it. It's like right on the harbor in Stockholm and you can just like sit and eat a bun and it was amazing. So highly recommend if you're there. And then so we took an overnight ferry, which for like the Swedes and the Finns and the Estonians is like a weekend trip. Like you go on a cruise, basically. They have shows, they have dining, they have bingo, they had karaoke. And so like we went and had a great time at the karaoke bar. I, of course, was singing ABBA in honor of Sweden. Made a lot of friends, talked a lot about Eurovision. This was our friend who was very into NASCAR. So he was excited that we were from America, and Shawnish had they had like a bromance, and they were like, let's take a picture. And so that's what we got. But so we had to go meet the Estonian president as part of like this organization that my father-in-law is a part of, does like a retreat every year. And he was like, well, y'all are in Europe anyway, come to Estonia. And so we're like, okay. So we went to Estonia for this retreat, and the like guest of honor was the Estonian president, and then also like the CEO of Skype. I know, really fumbled the bag on that one. But so it's truly wild. Yeah, so there's the president. I'm sure there's a better picture of me shaking his hand somewhere. But I don't have it. I did get to tell him that Estonia was robbed at Eurovision this year. And he seemed very confused about what I was saying. I was like, great to meet you, Mr. President. Estonia was robbed. I love espresso macchiato. And he is clearly not up on his Eurovision shit because he was like, okay, yes, good, thank you. Um, but that's like a top five moment for me, I would think, in my life. So thank you to President Alarkaris. And then the next day we went to like a Viking village. We were supposed to go sailing. There was like a huge windstorm. And then there were a lot of bunnies just running around. Yeah, and then there was a very funny thing was that this conference was for like an Indian diaspora entrepreneurship situation. So I was the only person there who was not of South Asian descent, and everyone just sort of assumed I was from Estonia, which was very funny. They would just come up to me and be like, "Do you know where the bathroom is? We love your country." And I'd be like, "Hmm." And I would just sort of figure out an answer. And I had to like ask the Estonian Secret Service guy, like, hey, where's the bathroom? And it was like a sitcom episode. The next day, we went on a walking tour around Tallinn. Mina was our tour guide, and she was hilarious. Um, she just had like the like driest sense of humor. Like we would be like, "Oh, do you eat a lot of fish in Estonia?" And she'd be like, "No, because we'll be shot by KGB." And you were like, okay, got it, Mina. I will not ask any more questions. These are stickers from an Estonian local artist, and they're over here as well. Olaves Art. I will link them. Ooh, I will link them as well in the bio. And then there's a picture of us on a like Soviet submarine at the Lenis Adam. I think it was a museum. There wasn't a lot of explanation given to me. I just sort of like did what I was told. But so we went there for a dinner one day. And then we were also in Tallinn at the time of the Estonian Song Festival, which is like a really big thing that happens I think it's every 5 years. And all of the people from all over Estonia come to do folk dancing and folk singing, and all have different regional costumes. And there was a picture that I took, and I'll add that here, of this woman in her like traditional costume, but she was riding one of those bird scooters, and I just was like, hell yeah, that rocked. So yeah, I forget what the pattern is called, but it is like every village has a different stitching pattern. I tried to do it over here. This started off great, and then you can tell it got messy, but I get the idea. Then we went to Latvia. We went to Riga. I loved Riga. Riga was cool as hell. I don't know if it's on anyone's like bucket list, but I highly recommend. They're very cottage core, very like mushrooms, foraging, rhubarb wine kind of stuff in their cuisine. And it was just really great. I had jam tea on the train, which I never had before. It was just like you put a scoop of like raspberry jam and then poured hot water over it. I drank that. Um, Went to an amazing restaurant called Peter Gallus, and it had this really cool like truffle ravioli. I'm still dreaming about it. This I just drew like the National Library. They call it the Castle of Light because so much literature under the Soviet Union was one, either destroyed, or two, like banned from the country. Um, so they really, really value literacy, really value education, like as a culture, education, like as a culture nationally. And so there's a lot of national importance given to that. And this is the Riga skyline of St. Peter's Church and the Monument of Freedom and all those things. So yeah, this was a postcard from a designer called Isabel Wagner, and I will drop her in the description as well. And then this is just like, I did so much sort of drawing on the Estonia pages. I was just like, I just need to write down everywhere we went. And so I wrote down all the places we went here. The Latvian Occupation Museum was like the single most sobering museum I've maybe ever been to. So highly recommend it. And also, I didn't know this, but Riga was the site of the first official Christmas tree in 1441. So that was neat to check out as well. And then after Riga, we flew into Istanbul, which I had been to before, and it's like just one of my favorite cities. We went to the Princess Islands or Adalar this time, which is a really great just like ferry trip out into the Bosphorus, and then we went to Balat, which is like a very colorful neighborhood. Found this Nazar postcard at this bookshop in Adalar. And so I just sort of collaged that together and then just made a list of like favorite things we did in Istanbul. This seagull is actually from that same Estonian artist, but the seagulls in Istanbul are notorious. And so are the cats. They're everywhere. I think my cat count, this was probably an underestimation, at least 127 cats that we counted. We went to Tatlak for Lamakun, which is kind of like, or Lamakun, which is, I'm saying this wrong, but it's basically like a Turkish pizza, is what people described it to us. It's like a flatbread with cheese and meats on top of it. And it was a Michelin restaurant and super affordable. My mom just got me like it's from some scrapbook kit. I don't know the name, but that's also where that turkey flag came from. She just got it at a scrapbook store one time. Oh, and this guy. This is the Istiklal tram that goes to the Taksim Tunnel. And this, I was just drawing this picture I took on Heybeliada, which was in the Princess Islands. That was the inspo pic, and then I just drew it. I think it came out okay. I'm not like a huge drawer. drawer. I'm not like a huge artist, but I do like trying to do stuff. So that was fun to attempt sort of like color layering and things like that. And then this was just stuff while I was on the Istanbul to Atlanta flight. Um, yeah, I was just thinking about my resolutions and I was like, what does perfect sleep mean to me? And so I was trying to think about what that meant to me. And then a tween in front of me on the flight home was writing fanfic about Phineas. Yes, like the Billie Eilish Phineas on her notes app. And so obviously I didn't get 8 hours of sleep. So I was trying to read it over her shoulder. I mean, it was just amazing. I love the youths. I got back to Atlanta, and these were just things that I was excited to do and sort of like recuperate, which was like watch Love Island, swim, sauna, drink a huge Dr. Pepper. And then I did leave a bunch of Tombos and stuff on the plane in my like seat back, and Turkish Airlines ghosted me and did not follow up with me, which I thought I was going to get it back, but did not. And then I went and got my emissions done. Weird shit happened. Like the dude was like, what happens when your toenails are wet like that? And I was like, why are you looking at my feet? You're supposed to be getting my VIN number. And also like, don't come for me. I haven't had a pedicure in 60 days, sir. So yeah, this has happened to me like a couple of times where like I go and it's just like weird stuff happens to me when I get my emissions checked. Like the last time I went, this guy was like, you ever been to Haiti? You should go. I'll take you. And I was like, okay. And I never went back there again. So if anyone has an Atlanta area emissions guy who is not terrifying, LMK. This was a vintage postcard of the Princess Islands that I found in the Princess Island for like, I don't know, like not even a lira. Like it was super cheap and just very cool. I haven't written on it yet. And then this is when I went back to work. I went into the office. This was stuck in my head because I was wearing I have a dress that has tigers on it. And there was this like, and there was this thing I saw online one time that was like, you let kids write poems, and someone was like, and this like 5-year-old was like, the tiger, he destroyed his cage. Yes, yes, the tiger is out. And I just feel that like whenever I need like a burst of energy, I'm like, the tiger is out. And then we got this in the mail, which I think is just hilarious. Like it was like, if you have a purchase over $200, you get free chicken fried rice, which is like $10. Okay, cool. Great deal. So, This went back to I do trivia every week with my friends, and this was Lucy telling us. Um, so I do trivia every week with my friends, and this was our first time back to. This was lore about my friend who had signed up for like a dating company matchmaking thing, and so she had paid. She was like, "Sorry, I'm late to trivia. I had to cancel my membership to this dating service." And we were like, "Okay, like what was this dating service?" And she was like, "Oh, I paid $3,500 for an annual membership to then attend these events that I had to pay for again." And at the time she was not working, and she was like, "So I was just like going every day to get my money's worth." And the only dudes who were there were like 55 years old, and Lucy isn't like just turned 30. And so she was like, "I just feel like this is not getting my money's worth." And we're like, "Well, you are." So we were like, "Lucy, this is a good call. Like you seemingly were paying $3,500 a year for just like the privilege of possibly hanging out with these same 55-year-old men at the middle of the day on a Tuesday at a bowling alley." So we were like, "You are excused from," she was like an hour late to trivia. She was like, "I had to cancel." And this is what I call my friend feed. This is my friend feed. I'm not going to show you all of this, but basically I'll just write down my friends' names. And I'm not trying to be like Harriet the Spy or like Gossip Girl about them, but then I'll just write down like a little tidbit. Like my friend got a job in Florida, another one got another job, another one's pregnant, another one got a new boyfriend. And so like it's just me sort of keeping up with like when these things happened, especially because I was out for so long. Just like a temperature check for like, oh, that's what happened in that year or that time. Um, so then the next day we cooked some katsu curry. I just filled this up. I just saw like a print of figs. I was like really into figs at the moment and drew a bunch of figs. We were very into also watching the Jeopardy Masters and also 3-hour compilations of Jeopardy. They are like my. This is from the Hobonichi Techo like life book like booklet that comes with your Hobonichi. So I just cut it out because it's a cat and our cat was at cat camp for 2 months. And so this is what he looks like now that we were hanging out with him when we were. This was a 2006 core playlist that was sparked from hearing the song Mary Happy by Kate Nash on an episode of Community. And then I was just like, what are all of the songs that remind me of like that 2006 like colored tights the Lily Allen era? Like yeah, so I was just like for when the vibes start feeling like colored tights and a strawberry frappuccino, because that was where I was at 2006. I think it was like a freshman in high school, maybe younger. I think I was in 8th grade. But yeah, these were just songs that were like on my first like big girl iPod. Like I had like a shuffle, like the little sticks that were basically glorified USB drives. I had one of those for a while, and then I like upgraded with my birthday money to a Nano. And that's what that reminded me of. So just started listing a bunch of songs that reminded me of that era of life. And then the next day, we took some cousins to Kinokuniya, which is a Japanese stationery chain. These cousins are very into stationery, which is great for me. Less great for Shauna; she's not as interested. But so we like took them to go get Korean hot dogs and stationery and look at Labubus and get some boba tea out in Johns Creek. So that was super fun. You can see us. I'm not going to show you the kids, but there we are. Um, all right. This was then inspired by that trip. I got a donut peach out at H Mart. And so I was like, you know what? It's the middle of summer. I'm going to make a fruit bingo. I need to like seize the fruit while I have it. And um, there were definitely some I did not cross off. Definitely had an orange. Definitely had a pear. Definitely had a fig. Definitely had grapes. I bought a kiwi, but I did not actually eat said kiwi. I remember that the kiwi went bad. But I liked doing this. I don't know if I actually got a bingo. Did I get a bingo? I did get a bingo. I did get a bingo. But it was fun because it was like, okay, what fruits am I going to eat this week? And I really got into that for a little bit. These are some just like, fruit stickers. These were from like a Bando sticker book, I think. Um, yeah, and then yoga, went back to hot yoga. Shout out to Galen, he kicked my butt. Listening to Thea Obrecht's Inland, and I just loved this quote that was in it. And ain't that the point of life after all? To feel yourself living it. I was like, oh, that's so true. Like I don't want to go on autopilot in my life, right? I want to feel myself living it. And that just also reframed it. Like, when I'm like, oh, I have cramps or like, oh, my back hurts. Like I'm feeling myself live my life and like what a privilege it is to be able to do that. So wrote that down. Got bamboozled into a $10 iced matcha at Larrikin. Just fine, but I mostly make matcha at home now. And then this was just from, I think it was this company, Cvito. I got it like this. This is like my cover for my this year's Hobonichi. Um, and I think this came with it, where it just said each simple idea deserves recording well, and each joyful moment needs capturing well. And I also liked that. So this was just like a sort of melange of random thoughts I was having those days. This is also a sort of random melange donut sticker. I put that here because we ate like half a dozen donut peaches over the course of like 3 days. And then just like to buy just things that like I had run out of, like my mascara, my eyebrow pencil, heat protectant, like all this stuff that I hadn't done. I had a call with my friend Amelia. My friend Catherine was pregnant again. She still is. Her baby is due any day now. And then this is from Emily Leas. I would say Leas, but I don't know if that's actually correct. Um, she is like a hypnotherapist on Instagram about like positive psychology and like what if you imagine the best thing possible. And she posted this post about like things she does as like a short break for herself, like to sort of pump herself up. And she called them brain snacks. And so I put those in here to remember. And this is actually a postcard from the IKEA museum we went to in Sweden, which I talk about in my last Hobonichi flip through video. So then this is also sort of just like a bunch of stuff. It was my sister's birthday. I started just sort of putting in things like I called lessons from last week, where I just wrote down like 3 things that I learned from the week before, which was like pack your lunch when you're going in, because I sometimes forget to do that before I go in to work in the office. Write down the MARTA times because I sometimes forget those when I go into the office. And then Friday yin is the move. There's like a yin yoga class that is at a great time on Friday, and I did it and I felt amazing. And then we made this dish that was like basically goat cheese, Greek yogurt, and then watermelon, pistachio, and like a balsamic honey drizzle over roast tomatoes. And we had a similar dish as like an appetizer in Ljubljana, Slovenia at a wine bar. And we had not stopped thinking about it since, because we were like, oh my God, it's like the perfect summer dish. So we made that. As you can see, Mary Happy was still stuck in my head. I made a little disco ball. Then went to Craft and Yap. We were doing embroidery. I am terrible at embroidery, but I did get to yap with friends I hadn't seen in a while. And then went to Red's Beer Garden, a local beer garden with my friends. I just drew this. I just like the thought of like every day is the special occasion. Like don't save your good china. Don't, not wear your good jewelry. Don't put off the sort of special things because you don't know when you're going to not have the chance to do those things. And so I just drew that. And then I don't know, played with the pattern. I was really into like this sort of faux marbling. It's not very good, but it looks like as like a marble. But it looks cool. Doesn't look like marbling, but it looks pretty cool, I think. Pump Up the Jam was stuck in my head because of a Bob's Burgers episode. And then I just wrote down some other songs that were stuck in my head. I sing these all, like Rocket Man is probably the song that is stuck in my head most often in life. Yeah, then it was my other sister's birthday. Pierogi had a bald spot. My cat, turns out he is just allergic to like something in the Atlanta air, so we had to buy him an air purifier. I swear, this cat. And then it was a heat advisory, so we went to the pool. And then this was just on MasterChef. It was like MasterChef Generations. It was like a boomer who made a cake, and his nickname was Geegs. I think his name was like George something, but he went by Geegs with an S. But he made this like purple cake and went and presented it to Gordon, and he like left off the S, and Gordon Ramsay was like, "What's a geeg?" And I just had to document that because I thought it was hilarious. And then this is just a list of like little joys lately. And so midday pool breaks, highlighter yellow nails, MasterChef Generations, CVS mini prints, refilling our spice jars, purse playing cards, like having playing cards in your purse, Sunday candlelit yin yoga, and then parking lot goldfinches because we saw a bunch of goldfinches in a parking lot. That was fun. You don't see a lot of goldfinches in like Midtown Buckhead, Atlanta. So that was nice. Um, all the background is just random. Like this is like from a chip bag. This is from candy. That's from like a card. I think that might be from my donut peaches. I'm not sure. I do know this is from packaging from Del Bar, which is an Atlanta restaurant, or BB, I think actually, their sister restaurant. And then this was, oh, I ripped this off a 2023 vision board and wanted to reuse the flowers. So that's what that is. And then finally, on the 31st, my parents came to town and we went to Whataburger. We were supposed to go to a football, or not a football, we were supposed to go to a baseball game, but it got rained out. But so we went to Whataburger and Papacitos, which are both Texas-based chains. I'm from Texas, so I am convinced that Georgia is the new Texas. The next step is In-N-Out. So if you're hearing this, In-N-Out, please come to Atlanta, Georgia. And then Four Weddings is on Hulu. It's like the best show of all time. And I wrote Four Weddings is on Hulu and I'm fully booked till January. So yeah, that was the beginning of the second part of my Avec from 2025. You can find me here on Instagram at WellReadPhD, on Substack at WellReadPhD. You can also order a book recommendation flight from me at my website, which I'll put down here in the bio as well. It's $10 for 5 book recommendations that are tailored specifically to your taste. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, do all those things. It really does help me feel motivated and like I'm not shouting into a void. If you like it, share it with a friend, let people know. But I am so glad that you spent this time with me. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day wherever you are. Love you guys and see you next time.